This is so going on YouTube.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Behind the Booth. I'm your host, Terry Mayo, and I am very excited about today's show. But before we get started, if you dig what we're doing on Behind the Booth, give us a like, leave us a comment if you're feeling extra generous or you just want to keep up with all of our geeky nerddom. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. Now then, today we have my good buddy and fellow comic creator Dave SWARTZ stepping behind the booth with me. David is the creator of Feast or Famine, Atlas Origins, and Confederate Monster. He's also a pretty kick-ass artist and just an all-around chill guy. Dave has an Indiegogo campaign that I'm super stoked to talk about. But before we do that, let's take a look at a little sneak peek of the world of Confederate Monster.
Yeah! Where's my wife? Do you hear me? Dismount and walk forward.
Darling, you're home?
And waiting for you with loving arms.
Must you maul her like an animal, Daniel?
Calm yourself, Mrs. Stevenson. I'm just getting into character.
They both insisted upon hiring Daniel's patience to cater. I too thought it would look as unseemly as it does.
Is that all you discovered while befriending Mrs. Schmidt, my dear?
Dr. Schmidt fits the description of our target in nearly every way.
What's up, Dave?
Hey,
thanks for joining me, man. I appreciate it.
hey, man! Thanks for having me. I appreciate the swag representation there, man. I didn't see that.
Do you like that? Yeah, it's my.
Yeah.
I think it's my only purple shirt that I own.
Well, you know, I chose wild colors.
It's easy to pick out in the closet because it's either black, blue, gray. Oh, there's purple. That must be Dave.
There you go.
But like I said at the top, very chill guy. I'm pleased to know you. We worked together at the same publisher for a little bit, and then through that we got to collaborate on a few things. Wicked Righteous stuff, a little buddy book that one day hopefully will be released into the wild. We'll see. I don't know. If not, it makes a good story for us to tell back and forth every time we do this. So,
look forward to it every time.
But I wanted to jump in. You have an Indiegogo coming out for a book that you wrote called Confederate Monster. So anybody who may not know you, could you tell us just a little bit about who you are and what Confederate Monster is about?
Sure, absolutely. So my name's Dave SWARTZ again. I'm a comic book creator all around. I pretty much just have done every part of the process. So I've done self-publishing. I've been published, and I'm kind of doing a combination of Patreon and crowdfunding now. So with Confederate Monster is the first book that I'm trying to do, also through Patreon, as well as doing some crowdfunding. And I'm getting ready for the midway crowdfunder to try to print the first 3 issues. I'm almost done with the 3rd issue, and I'm super excited about it. It's going to be fantastic.
Nice. And what is, I guess without any spoilers or giving anything super huge away, but what is Confederate Monster about?
Yeah, so Confederate Monster, I tell everybody in a nutshell, is basically just Frankenstein meets the Civil War. So my idea is to tell a similar kind of story that we understand as the classic Frankenstein story, but set in a different, unfamiliar kind of time period for this character, during the Civil War. I mean, honestly, I think in a lot of our recent, stories, movies, television, comics, we kind of tend to, explore World War II, World War One, maybe, the Vietnam War. But I haven't seen a whole lot done in the Civil War, so I thought, hey, why not explore this a little bit more? It's a little bit closer, I think, in time period to the original, story of Frankenstein. So I thought, hey, it might be an interesting, place, time, space in order to explore these characters in a new way.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, no, when I first started seeing you post about this, I was getting excited because I'm a big, being from the South, I love anything that's even slightly touches on Western, and I'm big Civil War. So I saw the horses, I saw the Civil War, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I'm down for this. But but it looks really cool, and it's got your signature style of art, which is boom. I'm just all over it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was super exciting to actually be able to conceptualize some different looks for these characters, especially the monster, and kind of try to make him look like a cowboy. I drew some concept art of that, and when I first kind of like took a step back and looked at it, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I would love to explore more cowboy, Frankenstein monsters. So.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So how did you, I know that you, a little bird, you told me that that you are into like Universal Monsters. So was this like an easy, natural fit for you to just kind of plug that into this world, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I ever since I was a little kid, I think around the same time I got into comics, I got into the world of Universal Monsters. And I really, for whatever reason, I loved Frankenstein. I fell in love with Frankenstein from the beginning. One of the very first published pieces of artwork that I did, I think I was 8 years old. I entered a artist contest for Frankenstein. Draw your best interpretation of the character, and for my age bracket, I think I won first, maybe second. I can't remember, but I got published in Monster magazine. So yeah, it was pretty badass. But maybe that was, the start of this all, So
that is great. That is great. I mean, segue. When I was 8 years old, I entered an art contest, and I am not an artist. I don't know if you've ever seen my panel descriptions, but I am not an artist. But I drew a picture of a nut and a burning nut factory in the background, and I called it Nutbo because Rambo was big during that time. I did not win first place at all, but but that was my foray. So the path chosen. You were in Monster magazine. Mine is just a sad story to tell.
But it inspired you to write other stories. So,
there you go. There you go. One day we'll have to team up and give Nutbo's revenge. But
yeah, sounds a lot like that other buddy story that we worked together.
Yeah, similar. But, so you chose to go the Indiegogo route opposed to what other platforms out there. Was there a reason why, or was it just a coin flip?
Yeah, I mean, I did Indiegogo the last time for the collected edition of Feast or Famine, and I've done Kickstarter before a few times, and this was the first time doing Indiegogo, so I had an opportunity to see what both had to offer, and honestly, I just enjoyed the capability of what Indiegogo has versus what you can do with Kickstarter. For me, I really enjoyed the fact that you can kind of build your own, reward or perk package, if you will. And I can, interact with people a lot easier, and I think the community is just a little bit more galvanized around that platform. So, personally, for me, I just think it's a little easier and more user intuitive. But I also like the back end stuff, a lot of the analytics that they serve you as a user and that kind of thing. So that's primarily what's moving me towards Indiegogo. But honestly, I have no ill will towards Kickstarter either. So I'm just really happy that we got this capability to do crowdfunding now, man. It's just it's a huge game changer for us indie guys.
It really is. It really is. And I've talked to a few people. Like when Kickstarter first started coming out, the first couple years, it was kind of like that was kind of the domain. It was the turf of like the indie creator. And now, I mean, you got Keanu Reeves and you got all these other people. You hear the good and you hear the bad. And I'm just wondering if you have an opinion on like big people kind of joining that foray, or
Sure, yeah. I mean, honestly, I kind of just have this opinion that if you can do it in a way where you don't have to, take any kind of attention away from other people that are trying to do the same thing, because I mean, with someone like Keanu Reeves, I mean, I just feel like Keanu Reeves might be able to find funding in other avenues that normal people may not have access to. So, I mean, I may have exceptions in that one, but if it was somebody that nobody really knew very well, maybe like the drummer for some band that was popular back in the day, like I don't really care if they want to do crowdfunding, but I just honestly I think that it should be a platform for people who are really wanting to create something that is just for them, something that is their voice, something that may probably never be able to get traditionally published, or either the content or the characters. So personally, I just think it should be a platform for independents that don't have that access.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's not an uncommon thought. Not at all.
It seems at least legitimate to me. So, but hey, I'm willing to debate it either way. I know you and I have had conversations back and forth about lots of different divisions within comic books. So
Yeah.
and I'm willing to debate it, man, because everybody I think is entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah, no, and again, like you and I have said before, and I think we're hopefully still on the same page. But if anybody wants to tell a story, they should be able to tell a story. So
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
yeah. But so the Indiegogo, I've never done one, and I've only done one Kickstarter because I'm scared of things. But 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 Indiegogo, you said you were able to build your own tier and kind of add things in. So do you have like swag or whatever planned, or like
Oh yeah.
extras planned?
Oh yeah. I'm deep in it right now, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually am finalizing everything right now. I have been playing around with lots of different ideas. The typical stuff. I think the typical fare that people want to see. The T-shirts, the hat, the sticker, the coasters, stuff like that. But then I've also just been trying to think outside the box and not try to break the bank as well, because there's lots of fun things that you can do out there, but man, are they expensive. But one of the things that I want to bring to this one is a bit more of a handmade touch, because I've been noticing that a lot of people really love that handmade kind of quality and attention to these types of parts. So one of the things I think I'm going to be doing are these aged black and white prints. So they're instead of just like a regular, colored print, that you would get for any campaign, this is going to be printed on an aged piece of paper. So it's going to have like that, yellow kind of, look, a little bit wrinkled and crinkly, like some of the edges are kind of like, cracked and, ripped. And then the ink itself, I'm going to be, applying a filter to it to make it look aged and weathered, make it almost kind of look screen printed in a way. So I think in and of itself, it's going to be a very unique, perk that you're never going to find, I think, hardly anywhere else. And one of the things that I'm going to do with those age prints is I'm going to make a wanted poster for the monster. I actually have a prototype over here. I was going to show you it really quick.
Yeah.
It's not completely done yet, but this is kind of what I'm thinking.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And that something like that will be like one of the tiers, one of the rewards in the tiers.
Yeah. So I'm going to have like a couple of different swag packages that include things like that, as well as the other things that I mentioned. But then there will be other things separate, so that if you want to just say like build your own, and buy the book, buy some of the prints, buy maybe a sticker, and that's it, then you have that capability too.
Very cool. Very cool. Nice. And when does the whole campaign kick off?
So launch day is February 9th. It is actually the day after my birthday. So I'm super excited about it. It's fast approaching, so trying to finish up everything and get it finalized before that launch date is upon us. But yeah, it's pretty soon, and it'll run for 30 days like most campaigns. And we got a $5,000 goal, which is pretty right down the middle, I'd say. Not too high, not too low. But I'm pretty confident in it. I think I can nail it and actually exceed it. I've got some pretty exciting ideas for some stretch goals, so I'm crossing my fingers on that one.
Yeah, man. No, I'm excited for it. This sounds really cool. I was happy when you told me that this was going to be happening. So very cool.
I was sorry that I just was gonna say, like, originally I had not planned on doing a midway crowdfunder. I wanted to wait till the whole story was done. But it's taken, as you know, a lot longer than anticipated. Plus, the more I talk to people about it, the more they just keep saying, like, I want a book. Like, I want to hold the book. Like, can you just do a crowdfunder, please, please, please?
Yeah.
So I just decided, well, if people want a crowdfunder, then I'm just going to give the people what they want.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta give people what they want. I mean, it's for the people. It's for the people, Dave.
Yes, it's not just all about me. So.
Yeah, you're a giver. That's what I love about you. All right, so the I know that we probably talked about this before, but sometimes things change. Confederate Monster, does it have a definite end, or do you see this as like being an ongoing 20-year saga of yours?
I am always one to just leave my stories open-ended because I hardly, I hardly enjoy any kind of media that just is like, this is we're done. There's no room for more. I always like the idea of stories continuing, characters continuing, even if it's in the minds of just the fans. So I did this stim thing for Feast or Famine, kind of left that quite open ended, and then this one I think I have about 3 different little stinger endings that I wrote for this one, so it can go in lots of different directions. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna have room for more if people want it. So.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I'm same wavelength. I love having that possibility of but there could be more.
Exactly.
I love that. Yeah. Cool. So before the pandemic, which I'm assuming everybody at this point knows there's a pandemic going on. before the pandemic hit, were you going to conventions? Were you like part of that behind the booth type thing?
Yeah, I wasn't, I would say, the most prolific con attendee. I think I was really all about it when I first began with my first book, Atlas. I think I went to about a dozen cons that one year that it was out. All over the place. Like I was going to California and Colorado and everywhere. So, but then as the years wore on, I kind of just stuck closer to home base. Like I'm out of Michigan, so I tend to kind of just sort of stay either in the state of Michigan or something close, like Chicago or Ohio or Indiana or something like that. But right before the pandemic hit, I was routinely going to Motor City Comic Con, which is here in the Nova area, which is actually the area that the $1 billion winner just came out of, which is kind of crazy. But then I was also going across states to Grand Rapids, upstate to Traverse City. So I was kind of going all over Michigan, and I really loved it. I had so much fun doing Comic Cons, and the best part for me as an artist was being able to do live art for people.
Yeah.
And getting just to see like their reactions, because a lot of people like to just sort of let you do your thing and go walk around and they come back, so they like, hey, here it is, and they're like, oh my god, it's so great. But then there are other people too that are just so interested in the process that they'll just stand there and watch me do it the whole time. So I love both. I think I get equal enjoyment out of doing or having both experiences, but I think all around that's the thing that I do miss about going to conventions. So.
Oh wow! I don't know if I could I don't know if I could write while someone's watching me.
Wait, hold on. I'm finishing a phrase. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. So hold on, 22's coming. And done.
Yeah, right.
Enjoy that.
Oh man, I feel it. Yeah. I haven't been in the writing chair for a while. I've been so knee deep in the drawing, So I feel you though. I when I'm writing, man, I'm like, I need space. I need to just be in my own little world.
Yeah. No, it is a different world, and since you brought it up, I mean, you're the writer, you're the everything on this book, right? Are you doing the letters as well?
Yep. The graphic design, the pre-press, everything. Yeah.
Wow. Do you feel like that is like more freeing for you, or does it really add a lot of pressure, or what?
Well, I think both, but I'm okay with it. I enjoy it. I'll be honest. Even before I started doing comic books, I was a creative director at a marketing company for many years, and so I led a design team, and I had a lot of different projects going on at the same time. So I was used to kind of not only juggling a lot of different roles, but then also dealing with deadlines and the pressures of clients and stuff like that. So I don't know, it comes kind of naturally to me. But I will say the one thing I do really enjoy about being able to do it all myself is just having the creative freedom to kind of bounce back and forth between different stages of the process and make changes. So like, I know working with you, it's always been super fluid where, you can give me a starting point, I can go in a different direction and present it to you, and you're like, oh, that's cool. And you write a new piece of dialogue to fit what you did, So, but that's sort of what I do with myself, where like I have a plan, I go to draw it, but then I think of something way cooler, and then I go back to the dialogue, and I'm like, I gotta rewrite this, So that's the overall process that I really enjoy. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's comics are a visual medium. I mean. That doesn't hurt my feelings to say that at all, even though I can't draw. But it is a visual medium, and that's the way I read. I read my comic books like that. I'll go through. I'll look at the art first. I'll go back. I'll read it, and then I'll do it a third time altogether. And it's just that's the cool thing about comics. But
I must say I'm honest that I was very impressed when we worked together on the Wicked Righteous Genesis series, and the first story that we did in the farmhouse with the family. How you completely rewrote like the perspective of how that story is told. Because originally it was just told, I think, as like a basic narrative. And then you completely changed it to being something being told from someone on the television that they were watching. When I got it back, I was like, wow, like as a writer, I don't know if I would have had the balls to like completely like scrap the perspective of the character that I just wrote and just completely change it. But it absolutely, I think, elevated it to a new level that, what wasn't there before.
Yeah, no, I mean, I never try to write with blinders on, so I mean it's a collaboration, and you drew a story that exceeded what I had on page, and it was my job to meet that. It was my job to meet you where you were.
I appreciate that.
So, no, cool. I've always enjoyed us working together. But all right, cool. So I wanted to jump back into the Kickstarter the Indiegogo if I could. So it's starting February 9th, day after your birthday. Happy birthday to you. 21. It's a big one. Milestone.
Oh boy.
And it's a 30 days. So you have the 5,000 goal. So is this good? You said it's the midpoint jumping in point. So are you going to have books 1 and 2 and 3 as something that you're going to be able to give out as a handy dandy?
Yeah, so the main kind of the perk is the first 3 floppies. So, and then everything else is just sort of going to be a add on from there. However, the last one, because when I finished the story, I want to do a collected edition at the very end. And that one will have all 6 floppies because it's a 6-issue story. So all 6 floppies. a hardcover collected edition, softcover collected edition. I'm even thinking of black and white softcover edition. I just, as I'm drawing it, I'm just envisioning this thing being printed in black and white. So I just got to print them in black and white. But a lot of that stuff. Plus, I'm just going to do all kinds of other, art related, prints and commissions and things that I think will really, elevate the whole thing to another level. Because I mean, if I'm doing these types of things for this campaign, you got to imagine I got to step it up for the second one.
yeah, right. I mean, the people.
You got to give the people what they want.
So knowing that you have this love for the Universal monsters, and you pulled in the Frankenstein stereotype, is there anything in the wheels turning about like maybe reaching out to another monster, or is that just?
Well, I will say, I don't want to say anything definitive, obviously, but I will say that I have kind of subtly alluded to my main character being a certain kind of wolf kind of type character. Not that it has any relation to a universal monster at all, but just that maybe he's a character that has something to hide. So
yeah,
who knows? Yeah. Who knows what will happen?
Could be anything. You could be talking about anything right now.
Yeah, could be. Doesn't matter.
There you go. So once everything kind of opens back up and people can like be around people safely, are you planning to jump back into the convention scene, or is this kind of where you're at, like behind the monitor and doing things online?
Well, I think I want to kind of wait and see. I think with everything that's been going on, I definitely don't want to be chomping at the bit to get back out there. And I mean, you know how it goes. Conventions can be expensive. They can be expensive and they can be very time consuming. So it all depends on what works within the schedule. As far as I know, it seems like everybody's out there just going like, "Hey, everything's still going on, but I don't really know." So, like I said, I think we're gonna wait and see. But I definitely want to get at least maybe one or two on the schedule as soon as I can, just because, like I said, there's an itch there that needs a little bit of a scratch. So.
Yeah, no, really, and I mean that's the whole reason I even started the Behind the Booth show, was because I missed going and talking and seeing and meeting and all that kind of stuff that goes along with the convention. I don't miss the convention food or the crowds or the sickness I don't miss any of that, but
that's true.
Yeah, but I do miss my friends and making friends, and that's a big part of it. But
right. I got real good at dodging between people on the way to the
bathroom. Yeah, it is one of those things, especially like at the bigger ones, where if you ever stop, you're just stuck. Yeah, it's kind of, you have to be in a continual motion.
Yep.
Yeah, such is convention life, I guess.
That's right.
So on this show, I know would be putting you on the spot, but the concept is you come in, you're behind the booth. So if I was coming to you at a convention, can you give me your best pitch on Confederate Monster?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Actually, pitches are one of my favorite things to do. So the tagline that I love for Confederate Monster is "The South will rise undead." So this whole story is about Igor and what happens to Igor after they reanimate the monster. So he uses the resources of Dr. Frankenstein to travel to Civil War era America, specifically Virginia, where he sets up shop as a reconstructive surgeon, repairing wounded soldiers, so giving them new limbs. Until the Confederacy finds out about who he is and what he can do, and kidnaps his wife, forces him to reanimate their entire dead army. And then we get to meet Frankenstein, we get to meet Dr. Frankenstein, and I even have a new version of the Bride of Frankenstein. So all the classic Frankenstein characters just in a new Civil War era tale.
That is amazing. That's awesome. No, I'm excited. I'm excited to get all the books, and especially the black and white one, and the wanted poster, and then whatever else you're shilling. So,
I didn't even mention the retro poster that I just made yesterday for it. I made a retro poster for Feast or Famine for the Indiegogo, and people loved it so much that I was like, well, I got to do a retro poster for Confederate Monster. So I was doing all kinds of Tales of the Crypt cover reference design, yesterday, and I finished it late last night, and it's killer. I'm super happy with it, and that'll be another perk that you can get for this campaign. So,
man, I can tell that I can feel the excitement coming through you, man. This sounds really
yeah. I feel it too, man. I can't wait. A lot of people, I know crowdfunders can be a heck of a lot of work, and they are. I'm not gonna lie, but there's something about them that's just like really energizing. So I'm trying to ride that wave.
Yeah, do it.
Right.
For the people.
That's right, for the people.
Well, good luck to you, Dave, and then thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. I have nothing but the best for you and for the campaign and for everything in general. But thank you very much.
Well, thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and I appreciate you having me on your show.
Of course. Until next time, bud. Stay wicked.
All right, you too, man.
I'm Terry Mayo, and you've been watching Behind the Booth. There's a ton of things you could have been watching, but you watched us instead. Thank you, and we will not hold that against you. If you like what you saw, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. If there's something you want us to talk about, leave us a comment down below. Until then, stay wicked, y'all.